Hi everybody, welcome back to Art and Stories by DLP. This is my YouTube channel where I review various toys, including the set that's shown here on this first slide. And this is the brand new Sonic Movie 3 set with 4 characters. We're going to be taking a look at Sonic, Tails, Shadow, and Knuckles today. And this set is made by Jakks Pacific. They have made several fantastic articulated figures. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at those figures in more detail now. And we're going to start off by looking at Sonic the Hedgehog. Alright, so here we have Sonic, and he is the movie version of Sonic. And he has several of these light blue raised quills on his face. He has a pretty good sized body. I think he's like the 5.5-inch figure, and you can tell right away that he has lots of points of articulation. He lights up by pushing the center of his chest, and there is a bit of a flash on the light, and it lasts for a long time. So he has a bright blue LED light that is in his body, and as I'm turning him around here, you can observe the different points of articulation that are shown all the way through. So we've got articulation at the head, and what's cool about his eyes is they have this lens on them that makes it kind of like a follow me eye, but it's not quite the same. His head is okay in its articulation. It rotates to the side. His joints, there's a lot of articulation in his arms, in his hands as well, and in his legs too. So his legs can bend at the knee. He actually has articulation in the shoes as well, which is a pretty cool feature. I just love the way that you can pose these figures. It's a lot of fun to mess around with them. And we can do that again. I'm just showing his leg being bent, and you can change around the style of how he's posed. And then here is Tails. So Tails is coming on in with offer of a Subway sandwich for Sonic to eat while we look at Tails in more detail. So here's Tails. Here's a close-up of him. He's got a very serious face. I think he's adorable. I love Tails. So here is Tails' features. Now, he doesn't have as much articulation as Sonic and the other figures. He has a little bit of better bend in his arm, honestly, and his hands open. He can have a little bit more of a bend at the knee, and his shoes actually have better stability than Sonic. And to add to that stability are his tails. Now his tails, each one of them is articulated, which is interesting. You can rotate each tail individually, or you can rotate them both together. And I think that's a pretty cool feature on this figure. So there's Tails. Twisting his head. His head doesn't have, again, as much rotation as the others, but again, he has an acrylic lens with his eyes. And I'm just trying to show off his pose here. You can pose these figures in all kinds of ways. Next we have Knuckles. Big Red. Here he is. No, he's definitely Big Red. Knuckles has a very top-heavy head. The acrylic on his eyes isn't really the best. But this figure, even though he's very top-heavy, he actually stands really well. So his head articulation does not really happen because of all his quills, but he does open and close his hands. He has very good articulation in his arms. His waist has articulation to compensate for his head movement, and his legs also have lots of points of articulation too. So it's interesting how his torso has that articulation. So you'd think by the back of the neck it turns, but his head just doesn't really turn all that well. And he is very top-heavy, so he does do the splits a lot, which is what he's doing now. But that's Knuckles. And again, I'm struggling to stand him up there. I have to prop him against usually a back wall or something like that to keep him standing. Some other object has to hold him up. Finally, we have Shadow, last but not least. I actually really love this figure. He is the first mainline Shadow figure that I've ever owned. Personally, I've owned other Sonic figures in the past, but this is the first time I got a Shadow figure, and I love the detail on him. I love his shoes. I love the quills on him. Like Sonic, he has a chest button here that you can push, and his eyes light up and his quills light up. His quills don't really flash as much as his eyes do for some reason. This changes in the dark, so it's a little bit better to observe. But again, just like Sonic, he has lots of articulation in his arms and in his hands. They can open up. You can move the arms and hands around, and then he's got articulation on his feet as well. The limiter rings kind of actually limit his movement in his hands, but his shoes are cool, and he has this cool ability to kind of skate. So I'm going to do a little bit of a stop motion here. You can observe him skating along, running along, back and forth like he does in the games. And here he is fighting with Sonic over what's the best thing to eat before a movie. And yes, so it's a lot of fun having these figures. You can pose them in all kinds of fun ways. Here they are, here's Shadow having a bit of, stressful breakfast. Here's Sonic with his juice, because it's juice and jam time, and there's Tails with avocado toast. So you can make them do all kinds of fun stuff. I really love this set from Jakks Pacific. I think it's definitely worth like the $50 or so that I spent on it. It's a lot. I admit it's a lot for action figures. Here's Knuckles going in, oh yeah, bursting in pose, and here's Shadow just done with everybody, trying to, read his morning paper, and then they all start to face off against each other because the Sonic 3 movie is coming out, and of course they all have to fight against each other. So I love the way these figures are. You can pose them in all kinds of fun ways. It's just a great set to get if you're a Sonic fan. And yes, it is juice and jam time officially. Here's Sonic with that. If you're an older Sonic fan like me, you know the reference. But I really hope that you all liked this brief review of these figures. And that's it for me for these Jakks Pacific figures. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, feel free to check out the other toy reviews that I have on my channel. They're going to be located under the action figures playlist. So once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you have a great rest of your day or evening whenever you are happening to watch this video, and more videos about Sonic the Hedgehog will be coming out soon.